The work is something that I really do enjoy. That's before practice, after practice, getting extra shots. I think it's, believing that these shots will show themselves in games. And last second chances. There were a few possessions where I had the ball with 2 seconds left and threw in a shot. And yes, it's a wild shot, but I think it's those extra reps that really help make those go in.
How much pride do you take in what you guys were able to accomplish?
I think we can look at this season and be really happy and proud.
The WNBA world just got flipped upside down because out of nowhere, shocking details about Lexie Hull's new contract with the Indiana Fever have leaked. And everyone from analysts to diehard fans is buzzing with questions, doubts, and excitement, wondering what this deal really says, not just about Lexie's future, but about the entire direction of the Fever as they fight to climb back into the spotlight. And trust me, this isn't just a simple roster move. This is a statement that could reshape the way people look at the team, the player, and maybe even the league itself.
I would say that's kind of my role.
Respectful.
That's kind of, a reason that I'm out there is to try to make an impact defensively. And I know I was undersized going against DB. And so trying to just be as active as I could, get my hands on as many balls as I could, and take advantage of that. Caitlin? Yeah. We're done.
Oh, Lex.
We got a team on the
Everyone's soon.
This one's for Kelsey. Just kind of fall.
Lexie Hull's rise to this moment didn't happen overnight. It's the story of a player who built her reputation not on hype, but on grit, on endless hours in the gym before and after practice, taking shot after shot until her confidence turned into clutch performances when the clock was running out. And that relentless drive is exactly why the Fever believed in her from the start, because she's not just another name on the roster, she's a competitor who plays every possession like it could decide the game. And now, with this contract making headlines, people are asking whether Indiana is finally ready to treat her like the cornerstone piece she's been fighting to become.
Find that balance that now, hey, great, we're in. But you have an opportunity to climb a couple seeds here, keep the winning going, and kind of keep this momentum going that you had in August into September.
Yeah, it's great to have it clinched, but it's not over. Like we said, we're taking every game as it comes, really focus on the game in front of us, really focus on the game tonight against Los Angeles, and I'm just excited to see, where by the end of the regular season.
Ever since her college days at Stanford, Lexie Hull has been a name to watch. A player who carved out her identity not just as a scorer, but as a defender, willing to grind every second she was on the floor, the kind of two-way talent that coaches dream about. And her performance in the 2021 NCAA championship proved she wasn't afraid of the spotlight. She thrived in it, which is exactly why the Indiana Fever made her the 6th overall pick in the 2022 draft, hoping her energy and versatility could breathe new life into a franchise desperate to get back to winning ways. But what nobody expected was just how quickly she would become a vital piece of their system, showing flashes of brilliance that made fans believe again, while also carrying the weight of a rebuilding team on her shoulders. And now, with the contract drama swirling around her, the question is simple. Has she earned enough trust to be the future of the Fever, or is the team still testing how far she can really go? When Lexie finally put on that Fever jersey, the expectations were sky high, but the reality of the WNBA hit just as hard, because going toe-to-toe with seasoned veterans is no easy task. And like every young player, she faced those growing pains, battling through mistakes, tough assignments, and the pressure of proving herself every single night. Yet what stood out wasn't the struggles, but the way she responded to them. She never backed down. She fought for loose balls, she crashed the boards, she defended players twice her size, and little by little, her effort began to shift the energy inside the franchise, bringing back a sense of grit and belief that Indiana had been missing for years. And that's why this contract leak is so explosive, because it forces us to ask whether the front office truly sees the same value that her teammates and fans already do. The Indiana Fever didn't just draft Lexie Hull to fill a spot. They brought her in as part of a bigger plan to rebuild a franchise that had been stuck in the shadows since their championship glory back in 2012. And while the road has been rocky with lineup changes and constant experiments, Hull quickly proved she could be more than just a role player. She became the kind of glue that holds a young roster together, defending fearlessly, hustling for every possession, and injecting the team with the energy fans had been begging for. And it's that spark which makes this leaked contract such a hot topic, because if Indiana truly wants to rise again, how they treat players like Hull will define whether they're building for real success or just surviving from season to season. Lexie's importance goes far beyond what shows up on the stat sheet, because while her scoring might not always steal headlines, her defensive presence, her hustle, and her chemistry with teammates like Caitlin Clark have quietly turned her into one of the Fever's most reliable weapons. And when you talk about building a winning culture, those intangibles matter just as much as points on the board, which is why so many fans and analysts are questioning this contract leak, because if a player who sacrifices her body every night and brings that spark the team desperately needs isn't rewarded fairly, what does that say about the Fever's vision? And more importantly, what message does it send to the rest of the locker room about how hard work is truly valued? The leaked contract details have only poured gasoline on the fire, because while we don't yet have every figure confirmed, the whispers suggest that Lexie Hull may not be getting the kind of compensation her effort truly deserves, and that instantly set off a wave of debates, with fans flooding social media to argue that she's being undervalued, while others claim the deal fits within the strict salary cap rules that every WNBA team has to navigate. But here's the real issue. When a player gives everything to a franchise during its rebuilding years and doesn't see that reflected in her contract, it raises uncomfortable questions about whether the league is doing enough to reward young talent, and it leaves everyone wondering if Indiana is locking down a future leader or quietly sending the wrong message to one of their hardest workers. To really understand why Lexie Hull's deal matters so much, you have to look at her draft class, because players like Ryan Howard and Alyssa Smith have already set the bar with contracts that match their star power and production. Yet, Hull has carved out a different identity, one built on defense, leadership, and grit, the things that don't always grab headlines but absolutely win games. And that's what makes the situation so fascinating, because while Howard shines as a scorer and Smith dominates with her presence, Hull represents the heartbeat of a team, the player who does the dirty work that holds everything together. So if her contract falls short compared to her peers, it doesn't just undervalue her, it exposes a bigger problem in how the league measures success, leaving fans and analysts to wonder if the Fever and the WNBA itself truly recognize the players who make winning possible. One of the biggest obstacles standing in the way of players like Lexie Hull is the WNBA salary cap, because unlike other leagues with more financial flexibility, the WNBA's tight restrictions force teams to make tough choices, often leaving young players stuck on contracts that don't reflect their true impact. And while the system is meant to keep competition balanced, it also creates a harsh reality where hard work and value don't always line up with the paycheck, which is exactly why this leak has shaken fans so much. Because if someone like Hull, who brings heart, defense, and leadership every single night, isn't being properly rewarded, what hope does that give to the next wave of young players fighting for their place in the league? And how long can the Fever rely on passion alone before financial frustrations begin to break the chemistry they've worked so hard to build? At the end of the day, the Lexie Hull contract leak isn't just about numbers on paper. It's about respect, value, and the future of a franchise that's been trying to claw its way back to relevance. Because if the Fever truly believe in rebuilding into a championship contender, then how they treat players like Hull will speak louder than any press release or highlight reel. And while some argue her deal is fair within the limits of the salary cap, others see it as proof that the league still struggles to reward the very players who sacrifice the most. So now all eyes are on Lexie, because this is her chance to prove on the court that she's worth more than what's written in any contract, and it's the Fever's chance to show the league that they're serious about investing in their future, because if they don't, fans won't just remember the leak, they'll remember how the team failed to stand behind one of its hardest workers, and that could define the next chapter for Indiana far more than any single season ever could.